Hey, BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. Frog in my throat. I'm Jackie, and it's time for our literary ramblings. I was able to, finished, I finally finished this book, or I didn't finally finish this one. I finished it like a week ago, and I'm so glad I read it. I actually, once I get past the whole awkward second person it wasn't awkward, but just getting used to it, the second person, I got really into it. It's a very interesting world. I can't really give you a summary. I think it'd be really bad if I tried to sum it up, but this was really interesting. I think, I know a lot of people say it's kind of a mix of sci-fi and fantasy, but to me it's more sci-fi with the weird, the world and the quote unquote magic and everything. It feels something like out of a sci-fi, like apocalyptic story, or um, but it was just really cool. Like I said, I'm glad I read it. I'm probably gonna continue with it. I don't know when I'm gonna get the next book. I'm still kind of focused on classics, but it's just like it was just it was a cool concept, and it took me a while to figure out to understand it. But once I got it, it was just really, or at least I think I got it. It was really good, and I can definitely see why it's all three books why it won a Hugo Award, and why everybody loves it. It's not my all time favorite book, but I still really enjoyed it. I'm also um I'm also still kind of reading this one. I'm taking a break from it for a little bit because I'm still kind of more into the classics right now. But I'm on chapter 14 of this one, so pretty far into it. And poor Fitz, he's on his own right now, and he's still kind of struggling to figure out things. And he's trying to get revenge on Regal, and without getting caught. And he knows that what is his name? I can't remember the guy's name. He knows that one, he's trying to be discreet and not get caught, and he knows that one dude from Regal's Corduroy, Will's his name, that he knows that Will is a better skiller, better at the skill than he is, and he's, like I said, he's trying to keep his identity a secret, because he doesn't know who's going to sell him out to Regal, or who is genuinely a friend. I think he has a lot of trust issues going on right now. And then he even at one point, he's still with I already forgot the wolf's name. His wolf. They're still together, but the wolf has reconnected with actual real wolves, and so he's kind of had to go, and he's trying to protect the wolf as well. So they're kind of separated. It's so sad because they have such a beautiful and sweet relationship. Although I'm worried because that he would. I always throughout this first part of the story, I'm nervous that Fitz would go back to being more wolf, and the wolf doesn't. I wish I could remember the wolf's name, but the wolf doesn't understand the pull of humanity, because he's a wolf. He's an animal, so he doesn't understand and why Fitz needs humanity, why sometimes he does kind of lean towards humans, and why he's kind of has he still kind of wants to trust humans, because the wolf is like, no, you don't need them, you just need me, and until he started running with other wolves, I think he didn't understand why Fitz needed his own kind, his own species. He still needed his own kind, not just the wolf. So I think that his wolf, I wish I could remember the name, is. Does it say on here? It doesn't say on the last one. There are some female characters he's run into, or offer him sex, offer to be with him. And he's like, he turns them down. He's like, I don't want to put you in the middle of this. I don't want to, I don't want to care too much about you, and I don't trust you. And they all, both women pitch a hissy fit and are mad at him. And it's like, oh my god, all because he turned you down for sex? You're gonna, granted, it's like, really? You're gonna be mean about it? I mean, of course, this is kind of medieval inspired world, so I don't know. But I personally do not get it. Why the two women that offered to, have sex with him, he turns them down. He tries to be the gentleman, and they get mad at him. It's like, he was trying to be the gentleman, trying to protect you, and you just all you can do is just get mad. Now, although the second woman, I kind of get it. The second woman he meets and offers, because I think the only reason she did was because she was looking for someone to pretend to be her baby daddy. And get her out of the situation. So I think it's more than just, but the other girl was like, I want to be with you. I want to have this one night with you, and you're rejecting me. How dare you? It's like, of course they're traveling and they're living on the road and stuff, and they're not pampered and protected by, a good home and shelter or living in a palace or anything. So I don't know, maybe they think a little differently. I mean, they probably do. They probably, when it comes to like sex and interacting with men, it still really annoyed me though how they treated him, about how they reacted towards him. But it works for the story, so it adds like it makes Fitz, it causes Fitz problems and puts his life at risk of being found. And Fitz, of course, is still practicing, the wit and stuff, but unfortunately, he has to be careful because, like, he finds out that, through another person who has that connection to animals, that it could put a neon sign up and be like, "Here I am." Which I like that. We also meet other people that have this connection with animals who are not afraid of it. Like Burke, we know that he has this connection. He has the wit, but he's afraid of it because he knows he can become more beast than man. And so Fitz, while he's traveling alone, he meets this husband and wife team that are also each have their own connection with a wild animal, and they respect it, they revere it, they think of it as a gift, as like, something to pray and something to be honored. And they want to teach Fitz. They want to protect him because they know that his life is at risk. And he's unprepared. He doesn't understand the wit himself. And like you also find out that the people only in Buckkeep call it the wit because that's not actually what it is. It's just they call it because they're afraid of it. They're afraid of the wit. They don't understand it. It's kind of a derogatory term for it. So like I'm taking a break from this right now, but I do want to get it read so that I can finally get to the Live Ship Trader series, because that seems to be everybody's favorite in the realm of the Elderlings. I want to get that one. Alright, I needed to grab something. So, by the way, I'm only going to talk about the books that my more recent books. Not all, I'm not going to talk about everything I've read this month in this video because I kind of already. But I decided to DNF Under Western Eyes. I just wasn't getting it. I mean, it was beautifully written and everything, but there were times when I was just reading it, I was just reading words, and I couldn't figure out who we were talking with. I mean, what character was speaking, who's the characters we were with. It's just hard for me to get into it. And I didn't sympathize with any of the characters, really. I mean, the closest character I sympathized was maybe with the sister of the guy that got killed, I think. I think that's who she was. She was the sister of... Or no, I think she was the sister of the guy that might have done the killing. I don't know. Like I said, I got very confused throughout the story. I mean, I would think I would get it, but then, like, okay, what did I read? Who's talking? Which characters are we with? And it's funny, I was watching because when I was hesitant thinking about DNFing it at first, I always read Goodreads reviews, and I like see if there's any reviews on BookTube and see, is this worth reading? Is this a classic you should read? And keep trying. Is Joseph Conrad worth it? Worth reading? There's some classic authors that people are like, you should read that author. Now, I don't think you have to read. I don't think just because someone says you should read the author, like there's like Tolstoy or like Dickens or Austen or someone, or I'm trying to think of any other author that people say you should read them, or like George Orwell or someone. I don't think you necessarily have to read them. I don't think you should. I think it's just they make an impact on the world and they have a strong influence, and they do something for the world, for the book community, but I don't think you necessarily have to, because not everybody can get into classics. Like, my friend Terry from Florida, for instance, I don't know if she'll ever really get into classics, or I don't know if any of Therese I could see getting into classics. But I think, like, with Terry from Florida and Larissa, I think they would at least be very selective of their classics. I could be wrong here. If you guys happen to watch this video, I'm not trying to call you out or anything, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You can tell me. But anyway, so I was watching those reviews, and people were saying, and one of the reviewers was saying they do feel like that this book was kind of a, he wasn't a fan of Dostoevsky, and Dostoevsky, I still don't know if I'm saying that name right. He was not a fan of him, and this book was a way to say, I can do the plot of Crime and Punishment better than you can. Now, the laugh's on you, Conrad, because I personally prefer Crime and Punishment. And this is actually classic I had never really heard of until I saw it at the roast office. I was not familiar with it. I mean, I was familiar with Joseph Conrad's name, but this particular book I don't remember hearing of. I mean, I think I was familiar. And I ended up getting rid of, thankfully I never bought, there was another book that he wrote. Let me see if it's in here. Sometimes they list the authors of their work. Where is it? Let's see. Lord Jim. I almost bought Lord Jim the other one time, but it's a good thing I didn't, because I ended up like I said, I chose to DNF this one because I was just not getting into it. I was very confused with it, and I did not feel any sympathy for the characters. But I bought Nostromo, and I looked it up, and the premise doesn't seem that interesting to me anymore. And I thought, in all honesty, I was probably going by the title. I was thinking about the title, and the title sounded really cool. I mean, I try not to have reasons like the way a book looks or the title of a book. I try not to have that, but the title did sound cool, and I didn't think it was I thought it was gonna be like a, supernatural, like, devil kind of story, because the title reminded me of Nosferatu. I think I said it right. Yay, Nosferatu. It kind of reminded me of that title. But I ended up getting that one, so I got rid of that one, and then I'm getting rid of this one. And, so it just is not for me. It was like, I like learning about Russia, but, I mean, I want it to be in a story that I can follow and get into, and, and I just can't get into this one. I feel guilty because I want to devour every work of literature that has to do with Russia, at least old Russia, but not every aspect of Russia, but like the Russian Revolution, stuff like that, and the maybe the whole thing about Anastasia and everything, the Romanovs. But yeah, so that was a DNF. That's the only DNF this month, I think. So I had just finished this one, Franny and Zooey. Okay, so I was not a big fan of Catcher in the Rye. I liked it when I first read it, or at least I think I liked it. But then I read it a few years ago, and it's just like Holden Caulfield just irritated me to no end. Not a lot happens. It's just basically him skipping school for the day, going around New York, eventually visiting his sister on her field trip, and him whining about life and how the world is full of phonies and he's the only genuine person. Well, although I have read people's comments where they say, maybe Holden Caulfield doesn't like phonies because, he thinks of himself as a phony. Like, how people they get mad and defensive and criticize people that have aspects of them that remind them of themselves, and they get really mad about it and mad at that person. Well, I think that comment was implying that maybe because he sees himself as a phony too, so maybe he was just really like upset about other phonies that but I couldn't get into it. Now that I'm older, I just can't relate to Holden Caulfield anymore. I cannot connect with him. He frustrated me. The one thing I did like the things I did like were the writing, and then I liked his relationship with his sister Phoebe. I thought that was really sweet, and I think that's because that aspect I can relate to. I am a younger sister, and I very much admire and respect my older sister, and have a pretty good relationship with her. Sometimes I feel like we don't have as strong a relationship as I would like to, but compared to some other sibling relationships, it's pretty good. But other people might like, Holden's story, but I'm just someone who does not connect. And I'm glad I read this particular one because now I know, I'm pretty sure I can say I feel less guilty in, saying I don't know if I'm into J.D. Salinger. I don't think he's an author for me. Although, like I said, I do like his writing style. And his books are quick. You get through them quickly. So I read this one, and I at first thought, going by the name, I did not realize there was a guy, and I thought it was about I was thinking, going by the title, that it was about these two women that become friends, and maybe they're complete opposites of each other, but somehow they blend well together, and, because I personally love those kinds of stories, so I was hoping that would be this one. But no, Zooey is actually a guy. The first part, which I didn't realize was published separately when it first came out, was about the character, Franny, and Zooey, I keep wanting to say Zoe, but Zooey is her older brother. She's in college, and the book is about her meeting, that part of the book is when she's meeting her boyfriend Lane at his own school, and she's kind of a little standoffish right now. She's acting a little weird, she looks a little pale, and it kind of, Lane is trying to talk to her and stuff and tell him what's going on with him, and he wants them to meet their friends for a game and grab a bite. He wants to take her to grab a bite to eat first. And he's just talking away, but like I said, she's a little standoffish, and he doesn't get that, and she keeps having to go to the bathroom, and she starts complaining about her own problems and starts talking about how she's very frustrated with how other people aren't as intellectually stimulating as her, and everyone is full of crap and not legitimate, not genuine, and she's very frustrated, and she feels like people aren't, real, there aren't any real poets in the world anymore, and they're just both, these two should not be together. Lane and Franny, they're too much alike. They're both too self-absorbed people, and they're very critical of each other, and it's just like they're just not clicking as a couple. And maybe I kept thinking that she was gonna end up revealing that she was pregnant, or that she cheated on him or something with someone else. That was a little more interesting in her opinion, and that was my only. If I read this separately, I think I would be a little disappointed because it felt very incomplete. And that's why, with short stories, that's how a lot of times I feel with short stories. They often feel incomplete because I'm so used to novels. And then, so, eventually she passes out, at the end. But then we go straight into the second part of the novel, which is Zooey's part. and he is someone that, he's a actor trying to be an actor. He's still living at home because, actors don't get paid a lot unless you get really successful with it and become famous. And it starts kind of with him in the bathtub. He received a letter from their other brother, Buddy, and I think he starts out as being the narrator, I thought, but maybe he's not the narrator. At first, the impression I got is he was the narrator. And while he's taking a bath and reading a script he got, Mama comes in and is kind of like upset about something and wants him to talk to his sister and find out what's wrong with her because Lane is concerned, and he's just so rude to her. First of all, they call their mom Bessie, which is her first name, and it's like, who does that? She's your mother. She gave life to you. She takes care of you whenever you get hurt. She's there to take care of your wounds. She gave you life. She's given you food and shelter. She cares about you, and yet you treat her like crap. They call her mom and say that she's stupid and call her fat. And it's like, I get that she can be she does come off as a bit overbearing, overprotective, and a bit whiny. Like, I do get the impression that she reminds me of Eddie Kaspbrak's mom, Sonia, the version of her in the 1990 miniseries. The way she's portrayed in that one. Not so much the way she's portrayed in the 2017 movie. Although towards the end of that movie, she does come off as a little more whiny because Eddie stands up to her finally, and we finally see her for who she truly is. A very weak-minded character that, her only power is controlling her son and making him think that he needs her and that he's sick. But like the whole kind of whiny, needy, and trying to be the boss, being like, I'm your mother, but at the end of the day, she's very passive and not very good at her job. And the fact that her kids, like, I get that he isn't all. I think he's 25 in the present. But it doesn't matter. She's still his mother. She's given him food and shelter and is taking care of him his whole life. And now she's letting him live with her. And yet he still treats her like crap. Like I said, I get that she's overbearing, but it's sometimes a bit needy and passive, but at the same time, she's still his mom. And it's like I just wanted to hit him. And he also kind of reminds me of Holden, as another reviewer said, he is very similar to Holden Caulfield in his attitude. Like, there's a lot of goddammits and smoking cigarettes, although in his case it's a cigar. And just cursing like I said, he calls his mom fatty, and he messes with her, and she lets him get away with it, because it's like, oh, I know you're just teasing me, even when she wants to get him to listen to her and do what she asks, she still is just very passive about it, and, they have no respect for her, and I'm not saying it's entirely their fault. I think the fact that she never, she doesn't take on the mother role. She lets them get away with it, to be fair. But still, I mean, I'm not a perfect child with my grandmother or my mother or my dad, or, they probably could use a little more respect for me. But I am not that bad. I never could get away with calling them by their first name or calling them, saying that they're fat or they're too skinny or something, because my grandmother is a bit skinny, at least on my mom's side anyway. I can never get away with that, and I never want to, because I mostly respect them. I mean, like I said, it's not perfect. Sometimes I do still roll my eyes and, act a little bratty even at my age. Even though I'm 31, I still act like a child. But I am not that bad. So in the scene when he's, when Zooey is talking to, which his first name I think is Zachary, but I don't know how they get Zooey out of that. I mean, I don't remember what the whole first name, and I don't feel like looking for his whole first name, but I don't know how they came up with Zooey for his nickname, for how they call him that. I mean, I don't know if that's anything to do with the whole his whole first name, maybe combining. I have to look it up, and I don't feel like doing that. I do kind of like the relationship between Zoe and Franny. It is very sweet and enduring. Like I said, the good sibling relationships, even if they're both incredibly irritating characters, is kind of nice to read, because I feel like I don't get a lot of that in a lot of fantasy. I feel like in fantasy it mostly focuses on the characters, the individual characters, and maybe their siblings will be there to annoy each other or be like, I care about you and I'm going to protect you, but we're barely in each other's lives. And it kind of focuses more on the epic love story or the battle between the bad guy. Like, there's not enough sibling relationships. What's one of the reasons why I like Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson is, although it still had, like, the two sisters were having separate journeys, but we still kind of had an established sibling relationship. And then, I loved it on the show Charmed. It's all about sisters. And, like, even on Event, in the Thor movies, it's about these two brothers. I want to see more of that in fantasy books. But anyway, so other than that, when I was listening to that scene, like, I kind of agreed with what Zoe was telling his sister, being like, get your head out of your ass, get off your high horse, and get over it, And I was caught between kind of feeling bad that they can't be themselves, but also at the same time, I was thinking, they're both so mean and arrogant. And he's kind of a hypocrite for yelling at her and making her feel bad because he's just as bad. And of course, he kind of admits that he is just as bad as her. But I mean, it's just like I was caught between kind of feeling like a small slither of sympathy and agreeing with him, but then at the same time being like, you both need to get off your horses and get over it. Get over yourselves. And they would not like me, because I'm a very mediocre person. Yes, I read a lot, and maybe I can sound smart, but I'm not as smart, or like a genius thinker as these two are. And I think the mistake their parents made was letting them go on that show. They keep talking about the show the Wise Child they were on, and it's just like, I think that gave them both too much of an ego. Because, I mean, you can read a lot of intellectually stimulating books and not have a huge ego. I mean, I think you can. You don't have to, just because you read those books does not mean you have to choose to be like, I'm a genius and I should read superior stuff. I'm better than everyone else because I think better than everyone else. It's like, you don't have to be that way. But I think if something pushes you, and not just the reading material you're given or what you're taught, as far as academics and education, but I think if you are exposed to an environment where you're constantly told you're a genius, or being on the show that makes you seem like a genius, then that's not good for the ego. Now, Zoe does admit they're both freaks. He does admit that. But yeah, I was more tolerant of this one than Catcher in the Rye, I think. But like Catcher in the Rye, not a lot happened. It was just characters interacting with each other, like having scenes where they're talking. Again, I like Salinger's writing, and on some level, I kind of like the sibling relationship between Franny and Zoe. And I agree with Zoe that Lane she's just dump Lane. He's not that great. He's kind of selfish. And this is a quick read. It's a quick read. But I mean, unless you can put up with these two and their arrogance, I don't know if it will be worth the fact that it won't be. I don't know if it will be worth being a quick read to read it. But yeah, I'm glad I read it. I'm probably not gonna read the 9 stories collection. But speaking of short stories, I am currently reading this collection. I finally started reading this collection. This is Fitzgerald's short stories. It has The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which is the one that the Brad Pitt movie was based on. Basically about the guy who was born, the baby that was born old, and then as he gets quote unquote older, he looks younger. He gets younger, even though like age-wise he's getting older. It's Brad Pitt, Cate Blanchett, Taraji P. Henson as his adopted mom. I don't know who else is. I don't remember who else is in it. I haven't got to that story yet. I'm getting there. I'm reading the stories in order. But the ones I've heard about, I remember hearing about back in the day were Bernice bobs her hair and Diamond as Big as the Ritz. That's another one I remember hearing about. But I've read up to, like I said, I read up to The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. So I've read Bernice bobs her hair, Head and Shoulders, The Ice Palace, The Offshore Pirate, Mayday, and Jelly Bean. Every time I say Mayday, I feel like I'm saying Mayday, Mayday. Head and Shoulders I like. It wasn't my favorite, but I thought it was a pretty good start. It's basically about this college man who's very smart and very much is a genius and everything, and then his friend sends this woman his way she's very pretty. She's an out of work act. She's a, hopes to be an actress, and right now she's kind of a dancer, and they hook up, and the guy is infatuated by her, and they end up having a whirlwind romance. They get married a little too young, too early, and it's about life and how life kind of throws you curveballs. And then Bernice bobs her hair is basically this young woman, Bernice, who's visiting her cousin Marjorie, and she's kind of in 50s slang, she would be a bit of a square. She's kind of very wholesome, has strong moral values, is very pretty, but is seen as very boring and not very fun. And her cousin, and Marjorie kind of has to force guys to dance with her and hang out with her when they go to parties and stuff. And finally, and after overhearing a conversation between Marjorie and her mom, Marjorie complained that she's tired of babysitting Bernice confronts her about it. And after getting upset with her, she finally agrees to let Marjorie help her and make her popular. And it's all about how people really care about your appearance and your personality, how you act. And it's all, and how fickle teenagers can be. And just how important popularity can be for younger people. How they don't, and I really liked that one. I prefer that one over Head and Shoulders. The Ice Palace is of this young Southern woman in a small town. She falls for a young man who's visiting. Who's from up north, and they fall in love. And she decides to go visit him, and insisting that she's never gonna marry a Southern boy. But their way of living, their lifestyles kind of clash, and he's kind of a jerk about criticizing her, the South. And then The Offshore Pirate is kind of a pirate adventure story. It's this woman whose name I cannot remember. But I liked that I forgot what it's called. The Ice Palace. I did like that one. I found that was really interesting. Especially as someone who's lived in the North for most of her life, but has a little bit of Southern in her, and I currently now live in the South, although I'm in North Carolina, not South Carolina. So, and I'm not in the deep South. But I am kind of surrounded by small town Southern hospitality. So kind of been around both types of people. Okay, so the Offshore Pirate, like I said, so yeah, this one woman, whose name I can't remember, she's visiting with her uncle, who's I think a mariner or something. And while he's trying to she's very free spirited. She wants to go visit this guy that she's met at Palm Beach. She's gonna, and her uncle doesn't trust him, thinks he's unreliable, and when he leaves her to go fend for herself because he's just fed up with her, she goes off. She ends up meeting this guy named Curtis Carlyle, who is kind of a bit of a pirate, and goes on this adventure with him. And they kind of have this witty banter, flirtatious relationship. And then next is May Day is kind of a after World War One story where all these characters are trying to get their lives back together, back on track, but they're not all of them are in good places. And it starts with, there's kind of three plot lines going on. There's this guy, Gordon, he's asking his friend Dean for money, because he owes this girl that he's met that has fallen in love with him. He owes her money. But Dean is a little hesitant because he's smart, because he knows that giving money to a friend is not necessarily a reliable thing to do, a smart thing to do. And he's like, oh, I just want to have fun. Let's come with me to this party at the Delmonico. And then you have these two former soldiers, these two drunken soldiers, I don't remember their names. They're walking around town, around the city, and they're looking for booze. And one of them has a brother who's a waiter who works coincidentally at the Delmonica, where the party is. And then you have Edith, who wants to reconnect with Gordon. He's her old flame, and she's currently with a guy she's not that crazy about, that has, crossed a few lines with her and is trying to, kiss her when she didn't want to kiss him. And so she's looking for Gordon to reconnect with someone that she can connect with better. And then you have, the last one I read was the Jelly Bean, which I cannot remember. There was another quote in the book in that story that explained what people see as a jelly bean, and I don't mean like candy. They actually call this guy a jelly bean. And it's kind of, he's has a very laid back, easygoing lifestyle way of living, and just chill, and doesn't want to do a lot. He's kind of shy and very sweet. And his name is Jim. And he gets invited by his friend, whose name I already forgot, to go with him to this party somewhere in town. Oh, and this also takes place in the South. And apparently this was kind of a sequel to The Ice Palace. And even Sally Carroll, who's the main character in The Ice Palace, is mentioned in this short story. And another thing I read in the brief little introduction is that his wife, F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife, Zelda, helped him out because she is a Southern Belle herself. And she convinced, so anyway, in the story, Jim's friend convinces him to go to this party, especially when he finds out that Nancy Lamar, his old crush, is gonna be there at the party. But she's with another guy whose father is a rich guy, who he invented something or something, I can't remember. And so he decides to go and just sit down, watch everybody, and observe everybody, and he sees Nancy there. And they kind of have a moment where they kind of hang out. They connect. Because she actually needs his help because she got gum on her shoe. So it's a very sweet, very kind of bittersweet. And a lot of his stories end, except for Bernice Bob's Her Hair, not end sad. And I think, in a way, The Ice Palace does not end very sad either. To me, that's not a sad ending, the way it goes in that one. But anyway, so yeah, and that one is just kind of about like how sometimes we let people influence us and, help us make certain kinds of decisions. And you have to decide, is that person worth it? Are they going to be, are they worth, just because you saw them in one way, does that mean that they really are that way? Okay, so, and then after that is the Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which I'm not gonna read right now. It's actually probably the same length as May Day is, which I think they were referred to as not May Day was referred to as a novelette, I guess, like not the same length of a novella, but still a little bit longer than a short story. I think that's what a novelette is. I'll have to look what a novelette is up. I don't know if it's the same as a novella or if it's, a little bit shorter than a novella. But so far, so good. I mean, I'm enjoying these stories. I know they're sad. I know some of the criticisms I read on Goodreads is his stories are very sad and depressing. It's like, but I don't have a problem. I like that they're, and plus, I just fall in love with Fitzgerald's writing style. There's something about his writing style that captures me and makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Just something about it. And I love his beautiful, like his prose and his metaphors. And I've even marked up some of the ones that I really love. The ending the ending of that one is a bit ambiguous, I think. Like, it kind of implies something, but I don't know if that's, I think some people don't like, and I know a lot of people do not like ambiguous endings. I think it depends on the story. And I do believe a lot of these, just like whenever I watch Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes now, I feel like a lot of them could be expanded on, and explored more. And that's what I'm always thinking about when I watch Are You Afraid of the Dark now, because I have the DVD of all the episodes. That's what I think. Like, I feel like a lot of those could be expanded on, and now it's even worse with those because they are originally intended for preteens, so they're even more like junior level stories, while these are for adults. And they're just about the adult world and adult life. Okay, yeah, so does my dad watching TV. I just love his writing. And I can't wait to read The Curious Case of Benjamin Button and The Diamond as Big as the Ritz. I want to read that one because that's another one that I've heard about as well. But it's so nice that I can read. I've read more of Fitzgerald's work. And funnily enough, whenever I think of Fitzgerald, because of Midnight in Paris, the Woody Allen film, which I have not seen, and I know people have issues with Woody Allen as a person, but you know what? It's not in theaters anymore. As another video essayist has said, if you really are interested in the story itself, and it's directed by someone you don't like, you hate, then just wait until it comes out on DVD. Then you're not spending as much money. Don't promote it in theaters, but when it comes out, get it. Then you can see it. But anyway. But in Midnight in Paris, Fitzgerald is in there. Like, you have Owen Wilson's character is the guy who goes back into 1920s Paris, and he meets Fitzgerald and Hemingway. I don't know who else he meets, but I know he meets those two. And Fitzgerald is played by Tom Hiddleston. So now when I'm reading this and I'm thinking about Fitzgerald and picturing Fitzgerald working on these and writing these stories, I think of him looking like Tom Hiddleston did in the movie, because I've seen clips. But he's probably nothing like. He probably doesn't look. I mean, this guy is straight hair and Tom has curly hair. But yeah. And I don't know if there's any other version with Fitzgerald in it. But a story about Fitzgerald. But at some point, but I'm really loving these. I'm, having a good time, and they're not that long. Like, that is the one good appeal about one of the appeals about short stories is that they're short. They're short stories, so they're short. So anyway, that is kind of what I'm focused on. I'm still kind of reading a lot of, I'm kind of going through a lot of, I'm in between a lot of books right now. I'm still kind of on a classics kick, and I just can't narrow down which ones I want to focus on right now. Like, I decided to finally get back into East of Eden by Steinbeck, because I've had this for a while, as you can see. So I need to get back into this one and read this one. And I've started it and restarted it twice now, so I need to really finish it for once. Instead of restarting, I need to actually finish it and get through it. So I'm kind of on that one right now, and then I'm also reading Bleak House. This is another one I've restarted twice now, Bleak House by Dickens. Because both times when I've started, I'm just not, I've started while traveling, and it's not a good place to start this book, start any Dickens, because it's just, first of all, sitting in the backseat of my dad's truck is a little bumpy. And then, when I started reading this when I was visiting Terry in Florida, we did the whole Disney parks and everything. Since my grandma has a timeshare, and there was just too many distractions. First of all, Terry was going to come see me, and then I was sharing a room with my grandmother. And it was, and she she falls asleep to the news, or she doesn't fall asleep at all. So it was just too many distractions. So I decided to finally started again, and all the stuff I didn't get before, I'm finally figuring out what's going on, and it's like where I read it and I kind of have some idea of what is going on, but then there was a lot of stuff that I just missed, and I did not realize certain things, I did not understand certain interactions and stuff like that, and then it didn't help that I have, and and it's really worse when I'm reading a book like this with this kind of print. And I was grinding my teeth in the middle of the night, and so my jaw ends up hurting, and it makes me cranky. So I end up having trouble absorbing stories that have this kind of writing where it's all like that, and it's an older writing style. So I also did read the first four chapters of Wives and Daughters, and then I finally got back into the Count of Monte Cristo. And the part I read in that one was that the Villafort's daughter, they're trying to get her to marry this one guy, and the grandfather and this one guy, but his own grandfather is enemies with Valentine's grandfather. So he is trying to get her out of this marriage because he doesn't want her to have anything to do with this family. And but he's so ill right now that he's kind of paralyzed. He can't talk, he can't speak, he can't move, but he kind of speaks in Morse code. And Valentine is figuring out, and she knows how to communicate with him, but Villafort is I know what's best. This is a good match. I'm the head of this household. This old man is weak, and he's trying, he wants to get his daughter to marry this guy. He doesn't care what. And the grandfather is I'm not going to give you your inheritance if you go along with this marriage. And Valentine's cool with that. I mean, as long as her grandfather still loves her, and it isn't because he doesn't love her anymore that he's not giving her, then she's okay with it. And meanwhile, the Count, of course, I still don't know, I'm still trying to figure out his plan and what his intentions. I mean, I've seen the movies, I know what happens. The basic stuff, but there's so many more details of things that he does, it's all a bunch of puzzle pieces that you put together, and I really, if they decide to ever remake The Count of Monte Cristo, and they could do that, they can't remake, then I would love for it to be a TV series, so that they can include all the intricate plots, and I don't know if, it's a pretty long book, so maybe they could expand it into a long series, or maybe, or one of those series that, maybe even a mini-series or a series that is temporary, that isn't going to have that many seasons, but it's going to have a few seasons. I think there's a difference between I can't think of the word. I'm going to remember after I'm done filming this. But, there's the mini-series, but there's all, I don't know if it's the same thing as those series that, are short-term. They have a few seasons. So it might be the same as a mini-series. I don't know. It might actually just be the same thing. But, I always thought it was something separate. But I would love for them to do that, because then they can include all the little details and all the threads and all of the Count's, / Dantes's, all the different things and all his weaving plans and stuff. Because there was so much more involved than what we got in the movie, and I personally like the movie. I thought the movie was pretty good, but now I'm reading the book, and it's so frustrating because I like when they put out movie versions of these stories, especially if it's a classic. But then it's but if it's a book that is as long as The Count of Monte Cristo, I can see why people did not like the movie and thought it was crap. because there's so much that is not included in the movie that is in the book. Um, but thankfully, I could not think of the guy's name that played the cousin, which I still don't remember the cousin's name, but I do remember the actor who played him in the movie now, Guy Pearce. He's the same guy in The Time Machine, in the movie Memento, and I can't think of what else he's done. I recently watched a movie that he was in that he did. I recently saw a movie on TV that he was in, like a military-esque movie or something, that he was in that he did. But he plays the cousin. Guy Pearce plays the cousin in that one. And I feel like the movie kind of made the Edmund's relationship with the cousin a little more close, like they were actually friends. When in the book, they don't come off as friends. Like, yeah, they're friends because they both are close with Mercedes. Like he's her Mercedes and this cousin have a really close relationship. Like he's almost like a brother to her, kind of. But he's also in love with her, and so I feel like Dantes and the cousin are only friends because of this. But in the movie, I got the impression not more than friends. I mean, there's nothing between the two of them in the romantic capacity, but the movie, I thought that they were buds, they were besties. And so, but then, or at least that's what Dantes would think. But nope, that's not the impression I get. Like, they're only friends because of it, Mercedes. I feel like in the book. But I cannot think of the actor's name. I can't even remember the cousin's name, the character name. But so yeah, so I still don't know why his feelings on this marriage and why he supports it or doesn't support it. I can't figure out what is going on with that. What his contribution? He's talking to them, and I don't know what he's gonna get. But anyway, let's see, what else am I reading? Okay, well, I did finally read a tiny bit of Middlemarch last night. I tried to, but I kind of was starting to fall asleep. So, I just got to the point where the Casabons just got home, and from their like honeymoon, and like I can't remember her name. The Miss Casaubon, the daughter who marries Casaubon, the guy's niece who marries Casaubon. She's trying to make the best of the situation, but she's kind of miserable now because she's starting to wonder if she made a mistake in marrying this guy. Because she was thinking, oh, I know, the two of us would connect so well together. We're so great. The problem is that there's no, yeah, you need to connect with someone, and and it's cool to find someone that you're intellectually connect with as well, but you want the romance, and you still want the passion, and you want to, and I don't think she has that with him. And I think she's starting to realize that she kind of wants that too. And kind of got a little spoiled for what happens with them on accident. It was like, I was watching, I think, one of Katie's video, Katie from Books and Things, her video, and I think it was her. If Katie from Books and Things, if you happen to be watching this, I'm not trying to say that you're the one who spoiled me, but I think it was either you or someone else. I actually heard you mention something about them, about that couple, and what's going to happen with them on accident. Like you're talking about, and I didn't realize that you were going to talk about it. So, so like I said, I feel like it was just kind of an accident. But so yeah, that's all. I planned on watching a little bit more, but the day goes by so fast. And then when I make videos, I'm still talking. Granted, it hasn't, they tend to be take a long time, And then sometimes when I go downstairs and I watch a little TV, I linger for a little bit. But anyway, so the day goes just by really fast. And then I just finished watching part 1 of an essay on Captain America and how the Russo brothers made him great. And I'm going to watch part 2 after I'm done filming this. Although, actually, no, I'm probably going to film, either I'm going to do it tomorrow or right after I do this, at 7 on Sunday. Although, actually, no, I think I'll probably wait for tomorrow, but do the 7 on Sunday for next Sunday. This Sunday. See, I talked about this in the previous video that, my nose keeps itching. But I might just film that tomorrow. Either way, I need to film it because I want to film it before before the end of the week. I want to get back, and I want to get into the habit of filming those ahead of time. Because I kind of got out of the habit, and I keep forgetting to do the 7 on Sunday, and I want to do it. I like the idea of 7 on Sunday, because I remember I liked Top 5 Wednesday, but Sam and Ginger Reads Lainey from Ginger Reads Lainey kind of stopped doing them. Although she stopped doing them way before, and Sam took over, and then Sam stopped doing them, which is fine. I mean, they have their lives; they don't want to do it anymore. I'm not complaining or anything. It's just I kind of missed them, and I liked them. Made it easy for a video. Gave way to an easy video idea. So I've been meaning to do the 7 on Sunday, but I keep forgetting to do it. But anyway. So I want to get in the habit of doing them and filming them ahead of time. I think it was partly also because there was 1 month where there was a lot of topics that I was having trouble with, that I was struggling with coming up with answers. So I kind of gave up on it. But anyway, so I haven't read the Brothers Karamazov lately. Like the last thing I read was the I hate when I do that. When I don't stop right on a chapter. But when the brothers are meeting with the priest or whatever, the family decides they need to meet with this priest, and the one brother still has not shown up yet. So I'm not very far into it. And I know what, because I read enough classics of these kinds of big classics where I know that it's going to take a while before it gets to the actual good story, the actual story. And I was already warned. I think Katie Pell, I can't say I don't know her last name. I just remember that she's also a I can't even say that either. Harakami fan. That Japanese author, the one who wrote 1Q84. She reads a lot of anime. But I cannot remember her name. Her first name is Katie. I don't know how you pronounce her last name. I need to hear her say it to get the pronunciation. So I haven't really got far in this one. I'm kind of dipping my toes in all these until I find, settle on the ones I want. Oh, no! Damn it! God damn it! Oh, it's annoying. This just fell on a Middlemarch, so now I'll have to find out where I left off the Middlemarch. I don't even know if I stopped on chapter. And I don't think I even updated. Crap, I don't think I updated on Goodreads for this one. Damn it. Sorry, this is just so annoying to me. This is my only problem with these bookmarks. These ones with these long tassels. Or they're not even tassels. Like, I think they're pretty and I like the messages on them. But they just they dangle and then they get caught on the other ones and then if you pull on them, trying to remove them from wherever you have the book sitting, then it grabs on to whatever and slips out of there or something. Now I have to figure out where I left off in Middlemarch. Because the stupid bookmark, which I may as well show you. So I'm also reading Les Mis, which I've been telling people that I had another copy of Les Mis, and it looked pretty small. And so I realized, and I thought, well, maybe the way it was written, it was able to be small. But no, it was actually an abridged version, a 400-page version of Les Mis. So it was like half the story, maybe even less than half the story. So I was totally surprised when I read and I realized, wait a second. So my first version of reading Les Mis was actually an abridged copy. Because look how big this is. I mean, this is about, counting the afterword in the bibliography, it's 1,468 pages. Counting the bibliography and the afterword. Now, without counting those, it is about 1,460 pages. And I haven't even delved much into it. I'm kind of mostly just with the priest. You know, where we're learning about the priest and his backstory, and I think he's the priest that, you know, when Jean Valjean, he finds himself, he's trying to find someone to take him in because he just got parole, so he's wandering around, and he gets to this, you know, this monastery or whatever, and hides there. The priest invites him in, and then he ends up repaying him by stealing silver from him so he can sell it. And he ends up, and he gets caught by these soldiers, and they're like, "We have your silver here. This guy stole it from you." And the priest is like, "No, actually, I gave it to him," you know, and essentially forgives Jean Valjean for doing that, for stealing from him. And he's like, go in peace, my friend, and live your life and trying to make your life better, essentially. And he does. I mean, he's still being chased ruthlessly by Javert, but he tries to get his life on track. I'm so annoyed because now I have to find out where I left off in this book. It's gonna be so freaking hard. Stupid bookmark, the stupid dangling thing got caught up in this. I'm gonna have to, next time if I'm still reading this while I'm traveling, I'm gonna have to use a different bookmark for that one. Because I like those, but it's just they keep getting caught in stuff. Like, those are the bookmarks I can use when I travel. I mean, when I'm hanging out at the house and stuff. But if I'm traveling, when we can go on vacations, I have to use a different bookmark. So, anyway, I'll fix that in a little bit. Sorry, I'm not technically supposed to touch my face. My nose keeps itching, and there's only so much soothing that, you know, when you wrinkle your nose like this, that can do. I mean, luckily though, nothing's happened. I haven't got sick or anything. I don't know anyone. My parents haven't got sick or anything. I wear gloves and masks at work all the time. I stay away from people. So far I'm pretty good. You know, I haven't shown any signs of sickness. Granted, I do know, before anyone says anything, I do know you can be a carrier of it. But I've been immune, but there's been no signs, and they always take your temperature at work. So, and I'm staying away from people. But anyway, so basically, I have touched my face a little bit by scratching my nose, but I also wash my hands on a regular basis, so. Anyway, so that's what's going on with my reading. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below to see when I post new videos. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy and doing your part in helping our world, our community, and what's going on, all the bad crap that we're dealing with. And I hope you are able to find, comfort in your reading. And I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye!